Welcome to Mass Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and a little tweak, a little change, something a little bit different, and the whole beer review thing. We haven't really done this before, but I think it'd be an interesting, fun kind of deviation from normal beer reviews. Packs, beer packs. You know, when breweries take a bunch of beers and put them together in a bunch of packs of different varieties and stuff like that, and usually there's 4 beers and a 12-pack kind of thing going on. I was kind of interested in picking one up, and I thought, maybe we'll just kind of review a couple packs here and there and do like a massive beer pack review, kind of mixed pack review. And we're going to do that now. What are we going to do it with? Sierra Nevada. Yeah, this is their Nooner Pilsner. A little Hop Hunter IPA. Got a little Flipside. It's your Red IPA, and we've got a little bit of rye going on. Yeah, I have not had any of these beers in a very long time. I think the last time I had any of these was the Nooner, and then before that was Hop Hunter. The last time I think I've had Hop Hunter was, oh God, what was it? Actually, it might have been when I reviewed it. I did Hop Hunter IPA versus, I believe it was their base IPA. And I don't know if I've ever had either of these two. So we'll see what's what. This comes in, like I said, in a variety pack. I love this box here. Actually, says a fan favorites pack. Not only not having these, but not really seeing these on shelves. Kind of like, okay, that's a fan favorite? Really? Marketing. It is what it is. They're relatively the same as far as, I think, IBU and ABV as far as the Hoppy Jams, the Pilsner, 5.2%. The rest of them are like low to mid 6s. And ABV, and that'd be that. As far as these bottles that go, which is kind of weird, and it says assorted on 6/28, but there's a bottling date varies from 6/26 to 6/20. So I know you can't do these kind of mass-produced beers, like make them all on the same day and pack them the same day. But I guess that, assemble them. I mean, they could, not that Sierra Nevada would do such things, but they could hypothetically put like a bunch of old beer in there and just say, hey, we put these all in the box, not too long ago. Again, don't think they're going to be doing it. I can see other breweries doing it. But we'll see what's what. Anyway, let's fly through these real quick because I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. Nooner Pilsner. It is 5.2%, like I said, packs big flavor into an easy drinking beer. As far as IPA, Hop Hunter IPA, it's brewed with distilled hop oils. It comes in at 6.2%. It has 60 IBUs. And Hop Hunter uses pure hop oil and drawn directly from the lupulin inside whole hop cones for an extra blast of flavor. As far as Flipside, we're talking about a red IPA coming in at 6.2%. Oddly enough, it's an IPA. These two IPAs have the IBUs on it. This one doesn't. I find that to be kind of weird. And it says Flipside is a bold yet balanced red IPA with enough malt depth to support huge citrusy tropical flavors from Simcoe, Citra, and Centennial hops. Then we have the Ruthless Rye. 58 IBU, 6.6%. Rye has been a staple grain for a millennium. That's why they're using it in the beer. There's more in the back. If you want to read them, I'm sure you can find them online. We just honestly went from ABV. These two are the same ABV, so we went with this one as a slightly higher IBU. Or, no, sorry. This one didn't have the IBU, so I just kind of put it there because it kind of makes sense for me to go from Pilsner or base IPA to a red IPA. Might actually flip those. Nah, we'll keep them the way it is. Let's dive into it, see what's what. I've got myself 4 glasses here. I did the old quadruple pour all at the same time. This is a new trick I've been working on. It's kind of has to do with a lot of like weird kind of gripping, and no, I'm joking. I'm not gonna be able to pour 4 beers at once. Actually, I might be able to, but I'm not gonna try it on camera right now. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, that one had a big hiss on it. So let's do the 2 outside first. See if we can get these relatively close in pours. Do the 2 insides. Almost spilt the red IPA, but we corrected ourselves pretty well. Not gonna lie to you, kind of think I did pretty good there as far as getting everything poured out in a decent way. And then we'll try to keep these in some semblance of order. That way you actually know what the hell's going on. I mean, across the board, it looks very much what you'd expect. You know, you have your Pilsner, hyper clear, nice soft carbonation on it, like almost like snow globy. Yellow straw, like in color. Their IPA, classic kind of West Coasty kind of coloration when it comes to the IPA. That almost clear kind of, again, slightly more vibrant kind of straw color that you got over here. That be a red beer, so the red IPA is coming through perfectly, kind of washed out mahogany red with a deeper, richer head than the rest of them. And then the rye is that kind of bumped up, slightly more amberish kind of color. Let's do the noses. Sweet. A lot sweeter than I expect. You know, it's a Pilsner. It's got to be malt forward more typically than not, especially with the traditional style Pilsner. This one comes off quite malty, grainy, sweet. There is a soft little spiciness to it too. It comes off way beefier, way more robust than what a typical Pilsner would come off for me. Hop Oil IPA. Yeah, it has this icky stickiness to it. I mean, it's not jumping out and just clobbering you over the top of your head with just hop rank saturation that you'd expect from an oil, but it feels like in the taste there's going to be a bit more kind of emphasis on it, just the icky stickiness, a little bit kind of West Coasty weediness, accompanied by pininess, and a soft, sweet, kind of crystal malt kind of characteristic. The red IPA. Maybe I should have flipped those, because this is definitely kind of dialed back as far as impact goes when it comes out down to the hops. At least aromatically. I'm getting actually probably a little bit of this in here, so it's giving me a little bit of kind of West Coasty rankiness, but I think it might be the residuals from this. Let me give this a huff. Maybe, because I don't get a ton in there. There is a soft little ranky pininess, not necessarily nearly as big as this. Thought it might have been the ghost of what this is, but when I huff on the Pilsner, don't really get that in there. So it definitely has this nice kind of like soft little spiciness to it, or pininess to it. Rye. Honestly, very similar to this. I'd actually say this is a little less hop characteristic and a soft touch of that subtle rye kind of spiciness. That's it. Off the nose, just me being me. Which one kind of intrigues me the most? They all do. Which one I like the most aromatically? Probably between these two. I think this is really quite a nice aromatic way it kind of comes off that weedy rankiness. I kind of dig it. So let's dive in. Cheers. Yeah, it is really malty. Like way maltier than I thought it would be. And almost verging on a point where it doesn't even come off like a base Pilsner. It comes off like an Americanized version of a Czech Pilsner. That's how the bittering kind of comes off. It says it's whole cone hop flavor. I don't know if it's their take on a German Pilsner filled with a bright and zesty whole cone hop flavor with crisp dry finish. Are you telling me it's a fresh hop or whole cone hopped IPA? Because that would kind of, or a lager, because that would kind of make sense here. Very much kind of almost like IPL-ish than actual classic kind of Pilsner like. I'm glad I didn't read a label because I was just assuming coming off it would be their kind of ease into the mixed case kind of thing. But it has a decent amount of hop character, very crisp, very clean even for its density, how malt forward it is. Because, you know, when you immediately say there's a big, huge malt component to it, you're thinking, okay, it's going to not be a snappy beer. It's snappy. It's not ultra crispy boy, but it's nice, crisp, and clean. Very well made. But you have that big bump and that big knock of that hop presence, which is actually quite fun. That does not suck. Very much so, it does not suck. Okay. I should probably put our water out here. We're going to dive in to a little bit of the IPA. Hop Oil IPA. So it's got that rankiness going on. Cheers, y'all. I'm not going to lie to you. These two are way closer than I thought they would be. which is kind of bonkers saying it. You're talking about a whole percentage in ABV or 1%. You're talking about a hop oil characteristic kind of being the big selling point in this beer. And while it is different than this beer, not by much. The malt characteristic, a little bit beefier, a little bit bigger, not nearly as crisp as this beer. But hop characteristic, there is a sticky ranky thing going on that I got in the nose that actually is there on the taste. But it's not like leaps and bounds larger than the Pilsner. I like it, but I just thought there would be like a super big jump between these two, and it's closer than I thought it would be. It's almost like, I'm kind of curious to see how these drink. I almost want to kind of slide this over here just to have that variance of, a light to dark kind of thing going back and forth. See how there's rhyme or reason to these packs that people put together. I assume more often than not, the rhyme or reason behind these packs is they're probably for their better selling beers or for beers that they can put in a pack. Some of the better breweries, like Sierra Nevada, I don't know if they're trying to do like an album kind of thing where they're trying to make every track make sense if you drink it in a certain order. Maybe that's me thinking a little bit too romantically about the way the beer is kind of thought about. But the whole point of kind of, this is the first one of the packs. We'll see how it goes. But the whole point of this is to see if there's some kind of cohesion or basically kind of hash out what I think are some of the better kind of mix packs when it comes to beer. So many people are doing them now. It used to be only a big beer thing, or what should I say, big craft beer thing. But now I see, local people by me, Industrial Arts, they do their wrench set, which is their baby wrench, industrial wrench, all their IPAs. A lot of breweries are doing these mix packs, so kind of a thing where I think it'd be fun to kind of hash out what I think are the best, or the ones that worth dropping the coin on. So yeah, let's take another sip of this and we'll move on. Kind of want to let my palate sit for a little bit and dive back into it. It's nice. It's really tasty. You're going to hear this over and over again. Really, really well made. Nothing negative about the beer. But super surprised about how close those are. Okay. Red IPA. Cheers, y'all. I think I should have switched these. I think it would have come off as a much better kind of build. You're still getting doused with hops. But you have this cool kind of creamy, slightly caramelly kind of malt base to it. I was just about to say it reminds me of Red IPA. No shit, Sherlock, it is. I haven't had a Red IPA in a very long time. And I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, that's one of my favorites. One of my favorite styles of beers. But drinking one now, I haven't had in a while, I dig it. I can see where I can wax a little bit poetic and nostalgic about this style because it's not something you see all that often. It's a style that's pretty much almost dead and gone to a certain extent, at least from newer craft breweries. It's nice to see. Listen, not blowing my doors off. It's not the best beer I ever had in my life. But you're talking about something relatively low ABV, 6%, giving me a hop characteristic that's quite nice, but at the same time giving me something a bit different. I find a trend among a lot of these beers is, or not these beers, but beers in general, is a lot of homogenization, everybody trying to do the same thing. Beers taste very similar. To have this and these beers in the mix pack, it kind of makes sense. I'm assuming we're going to get a bit similar here, and a bit similar here. It's kind of a ebb and flow back and forth kind of thing, which I think is missing a lot of times when it comes to beer drinking. It's either, hazies all the time, lagers all the time, or vacillation to the tube, but there's a subtle variance between that. This, you have a bit more of a tighter relation, with the hops kind of carrying the day, at least through the first three, but the malt base and the subtle variances between all of them, starker from here to here, obviously, is a cool kind of interplay to go back and forth with. It's fine. It's Red IPA. Well made. Would like a little bit more showiness in some direction, whether it be hops or malts or whatever. I just want something a little bit more showy. Hard to do at the ABV level, but we'll see what's what. Rye. Okay. So here's the deal. I messed up the order. That's kind of one of the reasons why I want to do this too, especially when the beer packs are very closely related like this. It should have went this one, this one, this one, then this one last. I was kind of thinking that, but I was like, I'll do this. It is a Rye IPA. It's very, very similar to this, both in mouthfeel and impact. You do get a spiciness to it, but not nearly as big as I'd hoped for. You know, I had a really stellar Rye IPA from a brewery local to me called Wild Air Beer Works. Absolutely fantastic. Very rye forward. Not to the point of overpowering the beer. You don't want to do that. But you unmistakably not rye. This, you drink this, I think you know it's a Rye IPA, but I want a little bit more chutzpah. Now, full disclosure, you're talking to a card-carrying member of the I Love Rye, and it's the best thing in the history of mankind when it comes to bread, the whole nine. So I'm a little bit desensitized to rye, so it might be a little bit different for you. But, a fun beer. So, we're going to do a couple different things here. We're going to talk about which ones I like the best, what order we should drink them in, or I think you should drink them in, and is it worth it? Is it worth the price point I paid? So like I said, ultimately, in a perfect world, it goes like this. So we're doing that kind of thing. We're going over to here, doing this, sliding this over to there, doing that kind of thing. That would be the order I think you should drink them in. Take a quick sip, see if my mouth agrees. The way the progression of the hops come in, even though you have a jumping malt from here, it's not as big of a difference. Like the difference between this and this, like I said, is very is not as huge as I thought it would be. So there's not going to be huge variance between all of these. And going from that cut to something a bit more malty, albeit the hops might be a little bit different. That's the change for me. The change from this not being like hyper aggressive, over the top kind of malt forward or anything like that, and then you subtle spiciness. That's the shift here. The hops stay relatively consistent throughout the board, and then you jump over here, a little bit sweeter, sharper, crystal malty kind of thing going on. That hop oil has a rankiness that these kind of don't really have, and it just kind of makes more sense for me to drink them in this kind of order. I could see even flipping these two, but that kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of things. But I think it's a fun mix pack. Is it something that I think is going to appeal to a lot of different people? I don't know. You know, there's no hazy involved here. The Pilsner isn't a crispy boy that is devoid of everything but drinkability. So those are the two kind of things that people really glom onto when it comes to drinking, lager nowadays. Red IPA, Rye IPA. Again, few and far between people even produce those two beers. I see Rye IPAs, Red IPAs. You pretty much have to go to a brewery that was a home brewer that opened a brewery kind of thing to find them. You just don't really see them all that much. And the hop oil IPA is kind of like almost like a trend. I know a lot of people use different components and hop components nowadays, whether it be lupulin, powders, or cryo, or whatever. But hop oil is almost like one of those things that was like early to the party as far as something new, and it's almost like it's kind of died a little bit, at least in popularity. Really well made beers. I mean, that's the one thing that can't be argued. There's a great, huge difference between something you don't like and something that is made badly. Just because you might not think it's great doesn't mean it's a bad beer or made badly. It just might not be something you dig. A lot of people confuse that. And while some of these might not be something that blowed my doors off, the execution and how they're made, that is A+. You know what I mean? Like 5-star, you can't argue with that kind of thing going on. Is it worth it? I want to say I paid $24 for a 4-pack, or not 4-pack, a mixed 3-pack. You get 3 of each of these in a 12-pack. You're talking about something that breaks down to, obviously like 11 and change for a 6er. I like the variety of it. I really do. And honestly, not having a bunch of, ever having these, I've probably had them, but I can't remember when I've had them. And then also diving into beers that I've forgotten has been really fun, especially the difference between the Nooner and the Hop Hunter. That's been a cool experience just to see how closely related they are. So for me, I think it is. It is worth it. Would it be something I pick up again? Yeah, especially, barbecue wise, having a party thing. I want some variance. I want some mixture. Maybe I have some beer drinkers that are coming that are not like super craft nerds, but they're also like beer, but they're old school heads. It's kind of foots the bill. You're getting a lot of variance. IPA forward, mind you, but you're getting a lot of variance across the board. It's nothing going to change anything. It's not going to create an epic new trend or do anything new that we haven't seen before, but it's a fun combination. I guess that's what this whole series might be about, is just trying to see, the progression and elevation of all these beers and how they drink across the board, and whether or not worth it. So is it worth it? Is it for you? If you like what will you like this? We've said that before. That's not new. Kind of makes sense. If you like old school hop forward beers, you will love this. You will absolutely love this, because that's what this is. This is old school hop forward beers, from the rye to the red to the hop oil one. Even the Pilsner gets it kind of very West Coasty. So if you're West Coast leaning, if you're old school beer leaning, and let's flip the script. If you are a new school beer drinker and you're really trying to understand more than just lactose and brewer sugars and cryo hops, I think it's a fun thing. It's not original. Augie Carton, I remember saying this a while ago, is that one of the best things you can do is not just expand your horizons when it comes to beer. I think that's always a positive. Some people like what they like, and that's all they want. There's nothing wrong with that. But expanding your horizons is a very fun thing, especially when it comes to beer. But narrowing your horizons can actually be equally as fun. And by that, I mean trying to understand beer at a different level. And by narrowing it, I mean drink one beer for a month. Pick a beer, drink it for a month. Something out of your norm. Or something like this. Pick this up and pick a couple, I don't know how much beer you drink, that's on you. Pick a couple of these 12 packs up and just drink this for a month. See how you feel at the beginning and see how you feel at the end. You might learn something about beer and about yourself. And I think that's probably more often than not what these packs are about. It's just, these are probably their biggest sellers. They're probably trying to use these to sell you to buy, to get into these and say, hey, I like these, maybe I'll buy these also. They're not UNICEF. They're trying to make some money. But you might learn that you like a red IPA or you like a rye IPA. I think that's a good thing to learn. So there you go. Mixed pack review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let's talk about it. Sierra Nevada. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their stuff? If you haven't, I don't know why you're here. To the brewery, but in general, you've had to have Sierra Nevada stuff. Have you had these? If you drink any of these, what's your favorite? If you have one of these as a staple, I would love to hear about it. And have you picked up this mix pack? And what do you think about the whole mix pack concept? I mean, just picking one up. Maybe I'll do it like once every 2 to 4 weeks. I'll pick up a mix pack, and then we'll just kind of jump into them and see how they land, how they tickle my fancy. So let me know all that stuff down there. So there you go. Review in the books. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying some of these some of these Sierra Nevadas right now. We'll see you next. Oh, I forgot the most important part of the video. Jesus Christ, I always forget. Well, I always forget, but then sometimes I remember at the last possible second. And then you get it. You get the old cool V. Is it going to fit? It would fit if I didn't pour it like a dumbass. This guy. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see what's what. Cheers, y'all. Drink them separately. Things are freaking out. I just heard about my power supply unit. Just click on and off really quick. So that's not good. So before we lose power, let's cut it to the chase. Drink them separately. This is fine the way it's drinking right now, but in the grand scheme of things, I think they're better by themselves. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little mix pack right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.